Case Keenum. Nice deep ball that drew a pass interference in the seams. Also had the touchdown on the busted coverage. What were your impressions of Case?
Again, just exactly what they've been. He was fine. You know, even the touchdown, like that's a shooting fish in a barrel for an NFL quarterback,
right.
But you got to do it. Like his ability to instantly recognize the coverage bust and place a perfect throw and not panic or freak out and be like, oh my God, he's wide open. And you see young guys overthrow that ball all the time. Not to say that like Haskins necessarily would have, but we see that in the NFL where guys are wide open and quarterbacks kind of can't keep it together because they're so excited, and Case didn't. The deep ball is on a third down situation. He trusts his protection. He's able to step up and let Robert Davis uncover. You know, he knows it's third down, so if he gets picked there, so be it. But you take that chance, even though there's two guys back there. Davis is behind him, and he's open. You take the shot, and if it wasn't for the P, so really nice. Other than that, nothing super special. You know, some inconsistencies, some throws that are a little bit off. You know, some throws that are fine on shorter stuff. Move the ball, you know, I guess one of his 3 drives, and obviously that results in the touchdown. So nothing really that moved the needle in the quarterback competition for either of the guys. Obviously, we'll talk more about Dwayne in depth here in a second, but Case was Case, and that's what's so interesting about this whole competition is if Case is Case and Colt is Colt, and more information coming in, more practices, more games doesn't change anything, what the hell do they do? And that's what they got to figure out. And I think, by the way, the answer to that is if Case can't close this gap, Colt's your starting quarterback. But we're a long, long, long way from that.
Is the assumption that Colt starts next week?
That's the assumption. We obviously haven't been told either way. Coaches are real good about not getting ahead of themselves. And certainly when Jay was asked about it last night, he's like, yeah, we haven't thought about that yet. So I imagine they go back, they watch the tape, they evaluate, they get back to Richmond on Saturday, and we'll see if Colt's reps go up a little bit or if he more consistently is taking the first rep in these team periods. But my guess is that Colt will start. I think the interesting thing is who else plays on a couple of fronts. One, do they want Colt and Case to play again, or do they just want Colt to play, and do they sit Case in the second one? And then also, Woodrum got hurt last night apparently late when he took that big hit. And so if he's out, then you play the 3 guys that you have, and that might lead to Dwayne Haskins playing like a full half in the second half next week. Which
I think he needs it.
Absolutely.
Let's dive into Haskins here. He had 6 drives last night. The first completion of Darvin Kidsey, was a beautiful rollout, 27-yarder. I mean, hit him right in stride. You had the good and the bad. You had the 2 picks from Haskins, one on the wheel route, one where he tried to basically force it into triple coverage and overthrew his guy. Better mobility than I think has been advertised for him. A lot of people were thinking, well, he's just going to be a statue in the pocket. He showed he's got, you know, a little bit of get up and go when he needs it. Talk about Haskins' debut last night.
Yeah, the mobility is definitely the biggest surprise because we've seen some of that in camp, and you're going, all right, it's camp. Like, what are you doing running around, kid?
Right.
Just stay in the pocket. But just see it in a game and see how useful it is because he's actually got the ability. Obviously, we all know mobility is useful, but it's not real useful when it's happening in slow motion. That wasn't slow motion. Like, that was impressive from him, and I appreciate that he's willing to do it, and I also really appreciate his answer after when he was asked about it. He goes, yeah, I mean, I can do it. I don't want to. Like, I'd rather throw, which is good. That's a good thing to hear from a guy who should be throwing the ball a lot more than running it because he certainly doesn't have elite mobility by any stretch of the imagination. But even to throw on the run like he does to Kidsey in that first pass, that's a little different. We haven't seen that a ton from him, and we certainly didn't see it at Ohio State. So if he can make throws like that, that opens up the offense and it raises the ceiling in a way that is kind of mind-blowing. And that's one of the things I wrote in my piece that should be up here soon is, like, his upside is kind of insane. The arm strength, if he's got a little mobility, his mental toughness, that to me is the most impressive thing. He makes these mistakes. He comes back. He's unflappable. His demeanor never changes. He's clearly upset in the moment. He's like, man, I got picked off. Goes back to the sideline. He comes back out. He's ready to go. And that's huge for a quarterback, the ability to just get to the next play and not let one bad throw turn into 2, 3, 4 and turn into a horrific game. But there's also the negative. The negative is he's not seeing the game well. That side of the mental game is just not there yet. He's late. His footwork is not really crisp yet. There's a couple throws last night where you're like, why did that ball go high? And you go back and you watch the replay, and his feet are all over the place. He's way sped up. And you can just kind of see the game is happening too fast for him. So I think from that aspect, it's going to get a lot better with reps as time goes. Obviously, the more you do something, the better you get at it in theory. That's kind of what the whole point of practice is. And so as Dwayne gets out there, and maybe even especially if he's the scout team QB for the first 6 to 8 weeks of the season, whatever it may be, like that'd be great for him to get to play against Josh Norman and Landon Collins and that front every day in practice. That'd be good for him. And so that's kind of where I'm curious to see where his development goes. How quickly can the game slow down for him? Because once it does, the good stuff is going to shine. There's so many positive attributes that are just jumping off the page, but his decision-making is going to hold him back until he adjusts to the speed of the game and realizes that some of the throws he made, not only in college, but even some last night, that cover 2 hole shot, as it's called, the spot between the corner and the safety in cover 2, where he threads the ball between 3 guys, that looks great in preseason. In the regular season, that's probably a pick with better DBs or there's receivers getting decapitated. So those things, he's just got to learn what it is in the NFL, and unless he plays in the NFL, he's not going to be able to do that, which is why eventually, obviously he's going to need to play or spend a lot of time playing against the Redskins starters in practice. Those two things are going to help him a lot.